What is up? This is Alex from Double Move Sports, and I'm back with another mock draft video today. This time I'm going to be trying out a zero running back strategy for the 2021 redraft fantasy football season. Training camp's coming up quick, so it's never too early to start trying out different strategies in these mock drafts just to see how the roster shakes out. You know, mock drafts are a great opportunity to do different things. Take a tight end early, take a quarterback early, try zero running back, try loading up on early running backs, and just see what happens with your roster depending on where you're picking. And you'll start to get a feel for the roster constructions you like the best, and you can think about that strategy as you head into your draft. So today I'm going to be drafting from the 8th spot. That can be a pretty tricky spot because a lot of the top tier running backs are off the board, so you're kind of deciding between a second tier running back or a top wide receiver. I'm going to be doing a PPR draft today with 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, tight end, flex, and 6 bench spots. So a pretty standard roster there. And we're just going to hop right into it and go after the zero running back strategy, see what receivers we can stock up on, see if we can get a stud quarterback and tight end early as well. So let's see how this board shakes out. It does look like a lot of those stud running backs did go early in this draft. And there are some running backs here as well. I mean, you see Zeke, Tyreek Hill, Derrick Henry on the board. So there are a couple running backs there in Zeke and Derrick Henry. But yeah, I mean, just those top tier running backs, McCaffrey, Cook, Kamara, Taylor, Saquon are off the board. Zeke is pretty tempting here as well. I'm surprised he did fall to the 8th spot. But for the purpose of this draft, we are going to stick to the zero running back strategy and just see how this roster shakes out. So we're going to take my number 1 receiver for 2021 at this point, kind of early in the summer, and it's Tyreek Hill. He's got the big play potential. He's tied to Patrick Mahomes. Nothing not to like about his game. Added a lot of consistency last season as well. So we're going to lock in the Tyreek Hill pick here and see who ends up coming back to us on the turn. And let's check out this draft board. So after Tyreek went Henry, Zeke, Hopkins, and Diggs close out the first round. And then the second round, Eckler, Chubb, A.J. Brown, and Calvin Ridley. Would have loved to have A.J. Brown or Calvin Ridley here in the second. So let's take a look back at who is available for us here. In my opinion, still way too early for Mahomes. I think we can get an upside quarterback next time around because we do have a long wait. And at receiver, there's Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf. Those are the names that stick out. And then at tight end, Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, George Kittle. We are going to fade Kelce here only because we already have Tyreek Hill. I just don't want to start out with 2 Kansas City Chiefs players in this mock draft. So I'm looking at Justin Jefferson and DK here if we are going to try the zero running back strategy. So we're going to go with DK Metcalf. I love his upside. Broke out last season, was phenomenal, a top 5 receiver over the first half of the season when Russell Wilson's pass attempts were up. I think Seattle's pass attempts will be back up this season after a little bit of uncertainty with Russell Wilson. I think he's going to get his way and get to throw the ball a little bit more. So we're going to lock in DK Metcalf here. Start out this draft with 2 stud wide receivers in Tyreek Hill and DK Metcalf. And we'll see who ends up falling to us here at the back of the 3rd round. And something I should definitely say about this, zero running back strategy is sometimes, you can get a pretty good feel for who you're going to get in round 1 and round 2. But as the draft goes on, just play the values. Like if we were on the clock here at the 308 trying to go zero running back and fade running back until the middle of the draft, but we had like a Cam Akers or an Ezekiel Elliott or a Austin Eckler or something ridiculous on the board, don't pass on a tremendous running back value just for the sake of it. Like, go into your draft open-minded, have a feel for what you want to do, play the values, but never be afraid to go back into the running back pool and snag one, even if you're trying to stock up on receivers and other positions. So we are at the 308, and we don't have a running back that necessarily sticks out to me here. I mean, CEH, Sanders, Dobbins, all fantastic, and I'm super high on those guys for this season. But we're going to stick to the zero running back and see what we can do. There are still several quarterbacks I'm okay with in that rushing quarterback tier with Josh Allen, Kyler, Lamar Jackson, and Dak. So we're going to go back to the wide receiver spot. A wide receiver you're going to hear a lot from me on in 2021. It's Amari Cooper. He was the number 1 wideout before Dak Prescott went down through 4 games. Through those 4 games, he was on pace for over 200 targets. Just absolutely ridiculous numbers, and it's a small sample size, but this Cowboys offense is going to be fun this season. So we're going to lock in Amari Cooper here and start out this draft with Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, and Amari Cooper. So we are absolutely stacked at the wide receiver spot. After Cooper, we did see a couple more running backs go, along with a lot of wide receivers as well. Julio, Godwin, Woods, Lamb, and Deontay Johnson. But we're set at the wide receiver spot for a while. So I'm going to try to wait one more round to see before we even consider a running back here, just because I want to see how this roster shakes out. There are some interesting names on the board at tight end and quarterback. I don't think all these rushing quarterbacks, or even one of them, is going to get back to us. So we do get our choice here between Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, and Dak Prescott. I think for the most part, they're fairly close this season. I do think they're on the same tier, and I don't think you could go wrong here. Kyler likely is going to end up with the highest ADP of this group by the time we're really into redraft season. That's my guess. But for the sake of this mock, I'm going to go Lamar Jackson. Huge Lamar Jackson fan. I think he has the most rushing upside of this entire group. I think his passing game will take a step forward and the attempts will go up a little bit in 2021. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in Lamar as a huge upside rushing quarterback early in round 4 in this draft. And it does look like this was probably a bad decision here because you look at the board and Kyler Murray and Dak Prescott are still available. I wish we could have waited, taken, maybe even a running back here, a J.K. Dobbins, a Miles Sanders, and came back with Kyler Murray here at the 508. But that's just the way it goes. We had to play the board. We had to play the information that was available to us. So we're back on the clock. We're really set at wide receiver, and we do need some running backs. So even in a zero running back strategy draft, I'm still okay to take a running back here in the 5th round if a value is there. And I think Josh Jacobs is a value. People are sleeping on Josh Jacobs because they brought in Kenyon Drake and they traded their offensive lineman away. And yes, that is bad. That is not good for Josh Jacobs. But he was a top 10 PPR running back last season when everyone thought he sucked. They were not giving him full workloads even last season. Devontae Booker and some of those backups were taking a huge chunk of carries. So I'm not that concerned about Kenyon Drake getting much more work than the guy did last season. He could still get 100-plus carries, and Jacobs would still be a top 15 running back in my opinion. So they did bring in a couple offensive linemen to try to replace the guys that they lost. But in this case, Josh Jacobs as an RB1 with the team we already have, not bad at all. So we're going to lock that in, see who gets back to us on the turn here. And it looks like after Jacobs went a couple of the tight ends I was interested in. I did see Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson go off the board. So let's take a look. So it went Andrews, Hawkinson, Dak, Kyler Murray, Higgins, Edmonds, Devontae Smith at the 603. That's crazy. And Will Fuller at the 604. So we're back on the clock. We need tight end. We need running back. We could look into more wide receivers, but we probably don't need to at this point. There are still some good values on the board. Kareem Hunt and Travis Etienne are interesting. Probably going to wait on the tight ends for now. You still got OBJ, DJ Chark, Claypool, Boyd, Robbie Anderson at wide receiver. But we're going to lock in Kareem Hunt here. Super valuable PPR back, and this is a PPR draft we're doing. He showed his upside even when Nick Chubb is on the field and how he can be used around the goal line through the receiving game. This Cleveland team should be good and should be a run-heavy team in 2021 again. So we're going to lock in Kareem Hunt. And honestly, considering we started out Tyreek, DK, and Amari Cooper, and we still have Jacobs and Kareem Hunt at running back, like those guys are no slouches. So this roster isn't half bad, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to look a lot worse, but we're back on the clock in round 7, and we do still need a tight end. We could go back to the wide receiver pool as well or stock up on some more running backs. And there's some interesting names. I think we can. I like Dallas Goedert and Noah Fant at the tight end spot. So we're going to risk it and see if one of them gets back to us on the turn here, because it does look like, the two teams drafting after us already have tight ends and Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson. So there's really only 2 teams that could take tight ends. So we're going to play our gamble there. And we're going to look back to the running back spot because Melvin Gordon sticks out to me. And the reason being is, yes, they brought in Javonte Williams, but Javonte likely will take some time to get ramped up. I love the talent, and I think even 2022 and beyond, it's wheels up for Javonte. But Melvin Gordon still getting paid this year, and I don't think he's going to go away in this offense, and it should be a much better offense than they had last season. So as an RB3 on this team for some depth, Melvin Gordon's still going to get 15 touches a game. He can be used in the receiving game as well. So I don't mind that here in this draft, and we'll come back and try to snag one of those tight ends next round. So we will lock in Melvin Gordon, and I'm hoping this gamble paid off for us. It looks like it did. We're going to get our choice of the 2 tight ends. So after Melvin Gordon did go some more running backs, David Johnson, James Robinson, Leonard Fournette, and Kenyon Drake, along with some receivers, and Tom Brady. So we're back at the 805, and we just took a Bronco, so we're going to mix it up here and go with Dallas Goedert in Philly. Zach Ertz still could be traded before the season, remains to be seen, but even if he's there, Dallas Goedert is the young emerging tight end in this offense. They don't have any proven receivers in Philly, so I think with Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert is a very, very interesting option and should be a solid tight end 1 in 2021. So we did see a lot of wide receivers go, but we're stacked with Tyreek, DK, and Amari Cooper. So Corey Davis, Antonio Brown, Marvin Jones, Devontae Parker, Jalen Waddle, Michael Gallup, who I really like, Laviska Shenault. Those are some of the big names that went after Goddard. But I would like to add some depth at the wide receiver spot. So let's see who is available. And wow, it's getting deep at wide receiver. The top names are like Cole Beasley, T.Y. Hilton, Jalen Reagor is interesting. I'm going to wait on wide receiver. None of those names really pop out to me. And I'm actually thinking about Javonte Williams here, rookie running back. I already have Melvin Gordon. And if something was to happen to one or the other of these guys, I hope it doesn't, obviously, but it would be an absolute workhorse situation if Javonte or Melvin Gordon had the backfield to themselves. I do think Javonte will get ramped up as the season goes along. So we're just going to go ahead and take him. I don't always love doing that, especially with guys on the same team in redraft, because it can end up clogging your roster. But in this situation, I think it could make sense, and I think both guys could have value at different points in the season. So we are back on the clock. Let's check really quickly to see if any notable names went off the board. Nothing too crazy. Fant finally went, along with some other running backs at running back 3, running back 4 range. And we're gonna take a wide receiver here. We do need some depth at the position. And the name that was sticking out to me was Paris Campbell. I think he's got huge upside on the Colts this season. He only played 1 full game last year, led the team in targets, led the team in snaps. Now you get Carson Wentz. You don't bring in any serious new wide receiver competition. And Paris Campbell could be the number 1 on a really good offense in Indy. So I don't need him right off the bat. We've got Tyreek, DK, and Amari Cooper, absolute studs at the wide receiver spot. So I like the flyer on Paris Campbell here deep in this draft. Now let's check our draft board. All these running backs are going, all these handcuffs. Tony Pollard, A.J. Dillon's a great pick there. Trey Sermon, I think, is an interesting pick. Alexander Mattison, Latavius Murray, Gus Edwards. This is like the handcuff range of the draft. But let's check who is available for us. There's some interesting tight ends, but we do have Dallas Goedert. Let's check the running backs and the wide receivers. I almost took him last round, and he fell, so we're just going to go Jalen Reagor here. Didn't break out as a rookie, but I do love the talent. Battled some injuries in his rookie season. Now he should step into a clear starter role alongside Devontae Smith. So we'll go ahead and take the shot on Reagor and see if he can break out in his sophomore season in the NFL. And we're back on the clock here, and we will try to go back to the running back position if we can find a value. But at this point in the draft, we're looking at Sony Michel, Salvon Ahmed, Darrell Williams. I honestly don't even know that any of these guys are worth a pick. Like, keep an eye on them, and if opportunity presents itself, scoop them up off waivers. But I don't even want to waste a pick on those guys. I want to go back to the other positions and see what we can do. So I'm going to take a shot on Jonnu Smith. He's in New England. Yes, the pass volume is low. Yes, they brought in Hunter Henry. But who knows? Maybe Jonnu Smith, with the money he just got paid, is going to be a feature in this offense. Their only receivers are Nelson Aguilar, Jacoby Myers, and Kendrick Bourne as of now. Still haven't heard on the Julio Jones trade as of the end of May when I'm recording this. So Julio likely will be traded. It's still a long shot that it ends up being the Pats. So we'll go ahead and lock in Jonnu Smith as another upside tight end shot and just see if he breaks out. I just feel better about that than blindly taking a shot on one of these running backs. So we'll lock in Jonnu, and we will have one more pick in this draft, and we will look to the wide receiver spot to see who is available, and let's check it out. So we did see, let's see who went off the board first. We saw Mike Williams, Darrell Williams, Jerick McKinnon, Sterling Shepard. So these names are getting kind of nasty here. Trevor Lawrence, Ryan Tannehill, Cam Newton. So if you do want to go, late round quarterback, Tannehill in the 13th round, like, come on, that's ridiculous value. But let's check out the wide receivers, see if there's anyone we want to take an upside shot on. Rondale Moore as a rookie is interesting. Rashad Bateman, same story. You got Rashad Perriman, Darius Slayton, Denzel Mims. We're going to take another shot on one of these sophomore wide receivers. We're going to go Henry Ruggs. I know everyone's chalking him up as a bust, but he was battling injuries as a rookie as well. We'll see if he can come out and step it up in his sophomore season. And between Paris Campbell, Jalen Reagor, and Henry Ruggs, hopefully one of those guys can hit and end up being a solid flex play for us when we have some bye weeks and other things with our stud wideouts. So we're just going to lock in Ruggs. And that's going to do it for our roster, for our 0 running back roster. We ended up with Lamar Jackson at quarterback, Josh Jacobs, Kareem Hunt, Melvin Gordon, and Javonte Williams at running back, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Paris Campbell, Jalen Reagor, and Henry Ruggs at wide receiver. And we had Dallas Goedert and Jonnu Smith at tight end. So there are some things I wish I would have done differently here. Obviously, I wish I would have waited on Lamar Jackson and taken him a round later. He did go at the 405. We could have gotten him at the 508, or if we didn't get Lamar at the 508, we could have got Kyler or Dak Prescott. So I probably would have waited on Lamar. And other than that, I mean, I love the stud wide receivers here. If this was a real draft for me, I probably would have gone running back a little earlier. I did like the values on a couple of these guys in round 3 and 4. But this is what your roster is going to look like. You're going to have studs at the wide receiver spot like Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, and Amari Cooper. Could easily combine for 100 points in a given week, which is fantastic. You throw Lamar in there and his upside as well, and you're absolutely set. And then you get these floor plays at the running back spot. Josh Jacobs, Kareem Hunt, Melvin Gordon, guys that aren't necessarily going to pop off for 40 points, but should be very, very steady for your fantasy football roster. So the roster didn't turn out too bad. I'll probably do some more 0 running back stuff as we get closer to the season. I might try some robust running back as well here in the next week or two. That's where you start out like first 3-4 rounds, you just stack up on running backs. So I might try that as well. But let me know what you think of this roster in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of the 0 running back strategy. And as always, hit us up in the Discord channel. That is free to join in the description. That's where Steph and I are hanging out, answering all sorts of trade questions, draft questions, anything else you got. So again, this is Alex from Double Move Sports, and we'll see you next time.